Hi, this is Anthony C. Ferrante. I'm the director of Sharknado 2, the second one. Welcome back to the movies.
Anthony C. Ferrante, director of Sharknado, joins us on Back to the Movies to talk about a sequel to the shark-filled fun franchise. How are you today, Anthony?
I'm doing pretty good. Getting over a little cold, but otherwise pretty good.
Good, I'm glad you're feeling better. So, a huge success on the original Sharknado movie. First of all, what gave you the idea to do a sequel?
Well, it was obvious when the movie kind of blew up that a sequel was inevitable. And, this was never a movie where we were sitting around during the first one going, oh, yes, there's going to be a sequel to Sharknado. And if there was, we were coming up with really crazy joke titles that would never, ever be made. And then it kind of blew up, and Sci-Fi said, let's do New York, and ideas started to flow. It was, and people would keep asking in interviews, oh, what would you do for another movie? And you go, oh, it'd be cool if we did something like this. And then it's like, oh yeah, that's actually not a bad idea.
Fantastic. Now, going back to the drawing board, right from day one, I mean, sharks and tornadoes don't really go together. Who came up with the crazy idea to blend those together and say, hey, we might be onto something here?
The idea started a few years ago. Occasional writing partner and I, Jacob Hare, we were coming up with pitches, and one of the pitches was a Sharknado, and nothing happened initially with it. And then when I was writing a script for Sci-Fi for Leprechaun's Revenge, I loved the title so much I put it in as a joke. It was like there was all these killings happening in the town. They're going, well, we got to cover this up because we don't want to have what happened in another town. Remember Sharknado? That they never lived that down. And Sci-Fi just became enamored of the title as much as we had, and then suddenly we're making a movie called Sharknado.
Fantastic. Now, across the internet, there's such positive and interesting reviews from across the globe. There's massive celebrity support. Now, did you ever think a movie like this could catapult into the cult classic of our generation that it has become?
No. You make these movies for the little budgets, and you hope for the best. There are always these little movies that could, and you never really know which one's going to kind of strike people's fancy. My first movie, which was a ghost story called Boo, did pretty well and has a cult following, but that was more of a scary film. And this one was just so kind of outrageous and crazy that, I mean, even like a month and a half or two before it came out, we were watching the kind of rough cut, and with all the visual effects finally in, and I just remember saying, this is like the weirdest movie ever made, and I don't think anybody is going to understand it. and I said, if we're lucky, maybe in 5 years it could be a cult film. And of course, I was completely wrong. It became a cult film overnight, and people did get it. And I think part of it was that, you know, we didn't take ourselves too seriously, and we were having fun. And last summer there was a lot of movies that came out where they weren't really fun. And so I think people just wanted something that was like different and strange, and we were overreaching with our budget, trying to do what the big studios do, and sometimes succeeding and sometimes kind of not quite there. But the spirit was there, and the cast was fantastic, and the crew was great, and we just all banded together to try to make this fun movie.
As you were saying, it's a film, it never takes itself too seriously. Now, the Sharks are back this time, tearing up New York City. Can you give us a little overview of the storyline and the chaos that ensues?
Well, I mean, the basic gist is that we have Finn Shepard, played by Ian Ziering, and his wife, April, Tara Reid. And they're heading to New York, where they're from, and strange things start to happen again. Sharknado starts attacking New York, and they have to kind of find a way to stop it and aid their family.
Okay. I mean, I've been researching the film, and I went on IMDb as my first point of call, and I look at the cast list. I see WWE star Kurt Angle, Kelly Osbourne, Billy Ray Cyrus, Perez Hilton, and that's just to name a few who are starring in this movie. Is there any reason why this movie has a cameo overload? Is it purely to enhance the comedic element of the movie and to show how popular it has become?
Everybody wanted to be part of the movie, and so we accommodated it. I mean, I think the most important thing that at least for me on the filmmaker side, wanted to make sure is that we tried to integrate everybody as much as possible. So it was just a lot of people standing around going, "Hey, I'm getting attacked by sharks." Not to say that we don't have some of that in the film, but each person, we kind of looked at what they did and go, okay, how can we do something fun with this? How can we make them a part of the movie in a way? I mean, Judah Friedlander's in the film, and he was kind of a big supporter of the first Sharknado, and we were told, oh, he's going to probably, he'll be bus or subway driver #1. And I started talking to Judah. I'm like, well, like, would you want to do something more in the movie than just one line? It's like, he goes, hell yeah, whatever you want. And so we were looking at some of the other characters that we had that were secondary characters, and we found a way to kind of build him up. And even though he's a cameo, he's got a good chunk in the film that's really cool. I mean, he's not really, I think he's more integrated than just a cameo. But I mean, in that respect, it's, the idea started off as, okay, they're going to cast him as this, and then we came up with a thing of, we got you for this time, let's utilize more. Let's have more fun with you. And he's great. He's one of the, the comic reliefs in the film, because you have to have, the main crux of your cast and your characters have to play it seriously, but then, like in the last movie, you have John Hurd, who can say funny things, and you have Baz, who could say funny things, and in this one, you have Judah, and you have a couple other characters that are allowed to have fun with the situation, while Ian and Tara and their family are all taking it very seriously, which is the heart of the film.
Yeah, I really like that kind of contrast. I mean, there's the terror element, and then all of a sudden someone does a one-liner, and it's like, okay, wait, this is a comedy film, actually, and then you're being dragged through like a whirlwind of emotion, almost like a Sharknado of emotion. Yeah, very cheesy there. So last night, Anthony, I turned on the TV, and I was watching Big Bang Theory, and Will Wheaton pops up and mentions Sharknado 2. I was like, okay, a show as huge as The Big Bang Theory is mentioning Anthony's movie, who I'm interviewing tomorrow. I mean, how do you personally feel to know that it's having an impact across the world and such high media impact as well?
It's just very strange. I mean, it's not, again, you don't go into these thinking that you'll get this kind of attention, and it's a gift that people have embraced it. Who would have ever figured that, a year later, Big Bang Theory, one of the most popular shows here, at least on American television, I'm not sure how it is over there in the UK.
It's about the same.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is like probably the #1 or 2, 3 rated show on TV, and they're talking about our film. That's awesome. People know about this movie that would not normally know about these kind of films. I mean, these films, you make them for a genre audience, and then if it expands and gets a wider audience, it's all the gravy. And this movie, attracted families, and kids love this film. And we weren't sitting there going, oh, we gotta make this for the kiddies. We just made a silly film. And I've said this before. It's like, if you think about the film, and if you describe it, it's like, yeah, and then there's these sharks, and they're in a tornado, and then what happens is, like, he gets swallowed, and then he chainsaws his way out, and then there's a girl. It sounds like it was like came from the mind of an overactive 11-year-old, and I think that's it kind of captured that imagination that there are no rules. And I think in some ways, and I've written a lot of horror films where you have to have rules, and it's like, okay, the banshee does this, the ghosts do this, and you have to figure out your mythology, and it's hard, and it's painful, and it's stressful because you want everything to make sense, and then you get to a Sharknado and you realize we don't need to have any rules, and that it's like, there's a shark and then there's a tornado, and you combine them, and that's our monster, that's our Freddy Krueger, that's our Jason, and the rules are what we make them. So if we want the sharks to, like, jump out and destroy cars or vehicles, that's our rules, because that's what we say it can do. And I think that's the beauty of the movie. As long as Ian is taking it seriously, and as long as he is the heart of the film with his family, you could do whatever you want around it. And I think that's what was kind of fun about this. is that, people just, it didn't matter whether you were into stuff or not. You were curious about it, and then people started watching and going, okay, this is fun, or this is silly, or this is ridiculous, or this is awful, but people were talking about it. I remember we were working on the DVD when everything kind of blew up, after the airing, and it just felt like two different worlds. It's like, how did this film get more attention than any theatrical summer movie last year? It's flattering, and it's cool, and I'm glad that I'm glad that people had fun with it.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, I really liked what you said there about the creativity aspect, as you're really pushing the boundaries. There are no limits. You can just make up the craziest thing possible and have fun with it. I'm sure that as a writer as well as a creative director, that's like the best thing you could possibly have on set, that freedom to do and push the limits of what's possible.
Well, I remember, I won't say what it is, but like the opening of the film is like, that was one of like the first things I really wanted to do, and I go, hey, what if we did this and we do this and da 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 da, and that was everybody was on board with that, and it is kind of a nutty idea, but the way we shot it and the way we set it up, it's still kind of grounded in like a traditional kind of film, like an action film or whatever. Like even the first Sharknado, the opening of the movie is like some kind of James Bond drug deal gone wrong movie with this boat, and then the sharks start attacking it, and that was kind of the whole point of it, is let's make this mini movie and then throw sharks at the end of it.
Yeah, that's really cool. Now, as we know, as we and you both know, there isn't sharks tearing around California in tornadoes, or there isn't sharks.
There aren't?
Well, apparently not. Apparently, I'm sure we'd hear about it on the news. Maybe, I'm sure. I mean,
we cover it up.
Yeah, exactly.
But this is America.
Yeah, it's a big cover-up until you actually happen. Like, yeah,
wait, we want to get all you Brits over here, and then basically get you sucked up into a Sharknado. So when you come off, when you get off the plane, it's like you're done for. I don't know why they want to do that, but they just tend to,
I appreciate that, man. And the next time I go to LAX, I'm going to be extra careful. Thanks to you. Thank you very much.
Bring your chainsaw.
Yeah, exactly. Can you give us an overview of how the shots are set up via green screen or CGI effects? Is it hard to direct a movie where the main protagonists don't physically exist?
Well, my background is practical effects, and I like to have practical elements as much as possible. So the first movie was definitely a learning curve. Even though I've done visual effects in my films, it's you definitely have to overthink everything. So I storyboarded a lot of stuff of the sequences, so we had a better idea of what we were trying to accomplish. And then we had, our visual effects supervisors and stuff. And we talked a lot about Kaplan, but I didn't really know what they were capable of. I knew they did good work. I just didn't know exactly what we would end up with. And a lot of times, visual effects can solve little problems that we have on set. That with a short schedule and a small budget, you don't have the luxury to do things, and especially with sharks. So the first movie, there was I think the biggest challenge was getting the cast really on board with what we were doing. And Ian was like gung-ho from day one and got it. And a lot of times, just trying to get people motivated, because you need reactions. I think the biggest problem with low-budget digital movies, and even CGI movies, and even some studio big movies, is reactions. If you watch Phantom Menace, there's a lot of actors' eye lines that are messed up, and you could tell that a lot of them weren't used to the green screen way. I mean, now everybody is really kind of getting accustomed to that. But you have to kind of get people motivated. I would yell "shark" a lot, really loud. I'm going, and there's a tornado that's coming out, and just to get them kind of, now look over there, just so we can get things motivated. And then you need, if a shark's attacking, you need people to kind of react or move back or do things. So you try to incorporate stunts. You try to get actors that really are into it. The actors have to be into it to sell it, and I think that's why people really were into Ian in the first movie, and they will be in this second one, just because he commits himself. He birthed himself out of that shark at the end of the movie and didn't care. He didn't care what it looked like, or that it could potentially look completely ridiculous. He gave it conviction, and he sold it. And that's what you need to make these movies work. And so on this one, we kind of knew what we could do, and so actually I think we pushed it even further because we knew where things could be augmented, and I think that's going to be the kind of the fun part of this film is that there's a lot more Sharknado, and there's a lot more interaction. And they're doing a great job. Again, it's these guys don't have a lot of time to do the visual effects on these films. We shot the film in February and we're delivering in a little less than a month. So I mean, it's amazing what they come up with.
Yeah, it definitely is. You're really getting me excited for the movie here, Anthony. Yeah, I'm really stoked. I mean, I was scrolling through reviews and I noticed one review that stuck out as a quote: "A film voted so bad that it's good." Now, what I wanted to ask you about Sharknado 2 is, how have you made this film worse so it's better?
See, you know what? We're just making movies, and the thing is that people like them or hate them or whatever. It's that's everybody's opinion. It's just as long as there's some enjoyment and people are embracing it. I mean, you don't set out to do, you don't set out to go, oh, let's make this film look awful. No, we're not trying to do that. What we're trying to do is make a ridiculous film, and however that's perceived by fans or the public or whatever, that's up to them to decide. We just make the movies, and look, I like a lot of the first movie, and there's stuff I don't particularly like about the first movie, and it's the same thing with any of these projects. You're your own harshest critic on this stuff. I think the important thing is that we at least have a sense of fun, and I think that if the moment that these movies cease to be fun, that's when the franchise is over. So as long as there's a sense of fun, then everybody could read into what they want with the film.
Okay, good answer indeed. Now, when is Sharknado 2 expected to be released? Will it be distributed the same as the original?
It's coming out July 30th, but you'll have to check this.
My birthday then.
It's my birthday as well.
Fantastic. That's creepy.
That's pretty, yeah, very creepy. I need to get off this call right now. Sending a Sharknado to you. I've been hearing that there might be an international launch for it where it'll be in all territories at the same time, but I can't confirm or deny that. I know that it will be at least around the same time as the release on Sci-Fi.
Okay, fantastic. I just want to wrap it up there, Anthony, and wish you the best of luck with the movie. That just about wraps it up, so I'm going to fin-ish the interview. Okay, that's quite poor. I apologize.
There you go.
So I'm going to...
This is starting to sound fishy.
Yeah, I know, yeah, definitely sounds something a bit fishy about that, yeah. So I'm just going to wrap it up right there, and I look forward to seeing the movie in the months to come. Thank you very much for joining me, and I hope you feel better soon.
Thanks, man. Take it easy.
And you.